The midday sun beat down on the small town of Haven, a quiet place where time seemed to move at a snail's pace. The heat was relentless, but a different kind of tension simmered inside the local diner. A woman named Elena Reyes walked in, her tailored suit and composed demeanor a sharp contrast to the casual patrons. She carried a slim leather folder, its contents a private matter she wasn't trying to conceal. Elena took a seat in a corner booth and ordered a salad. She wasn't expecting an interruption, but it came in the form of Officer Jake Thorne, a third-generation police officer. Thorne had a finely tuned sense of what didn't fit in his town. When he saw Elena, a black woman alone with an air of purpose, his instinct wasn't curiosity. It was suspicion. "You waiting for someone, ma'am?" he asked, his voice polite but firm. "No, just having lunch," Elena replied calmly. Thorne's eyes narrowed as he spotted a faded federal seal on a document in her folder. "You're with the feds," he stated. Elena didn't answer, a silence Thorne interpreted as defiance. He'd seen his share of outsiders and knew the unwritten rules of Haven. "People come in here all the time with big talk," he said, tapping his radio. "It's a dangerous time to be wearing the wrong uniform." "I'm not wearing a uniform," Elena responded, her voice steady. "But you're carrying federal material. Seeing a seal isn't a crime." Thorne called for backup, citing a possible fraudulent ID and a subject in citing. Elena slowly closed her folder. "You're making a mistake." The tension thickened. A couple at a nearby table muttered, "She does look out of place." Thorne pointed to them. "See? It's not just me." Elena stared him down, her eyes unwavering. "Your gut isn't the law, and your suspicion isn't probable cause. Gonna lawyer me now?" Thorne grinned. Elena pulled a badge wallet from her jacket. She opened it just enough for him to see. The real deal, a federal investigator's shield. "Just for him," she said, her voice dropping to a precise, quiet tone that cut to the diner's hum. "I'm here on official assignment. The man I came to see is your police chief." Thorne's grin vanished. His jaw went slack. The silence was immediate and absolute. "You just called for backup on the woman sent to arrest your boss," Elena said evenly, laying the badge flat on the table. Haven had a picturesque facade, hand-painted signs, Sunday church bells, and neighbors who knew each other's dogs by name. But beneath the surface, a dark secret festered. Complaints were ignored, cameras malfunctioned, and when a young black man went missing 2 summers ago, the case was closed in 48 hours. For 6 months, Elena had been watching. She wasn't a desk agent. Her job was to go where things were buried and dig them up. Her investigation had uncovered a string of internal complaints against the Haven PD. Racial profiling, intimidation, and unexplained injuries. Nothing ever stuck because someone upstairs always cleaned it up. That someone was Chief Arthur Crandall. Crandall was a local legend, a man with a spotless record on paper. To the press, he was a model public servant. To the townspeople of color, he was a shadow. His badge didn't just protect him, it made him untouchable. But that was about to change. Elena's case had grown like roots under pavement. A mother whose son was unjustly tasered in his own driveway. A former officer who quit after his body camera footage mysteriously disappeared. A store owner whose calls for help were ignored after he refused to give police a discount. Individually, the stories were dismissed. Together, they painted a damning picture. Elena didn't wear her badge on her chest or shout her authority. She had learned that justice doesn't come from a raised voice. It comes from airtight preparation. She had chosen the diner for a reason. It was public enough for safety, yet quiet enough for a conversation with a final source, a young dispatcher who had agreed to turn over internal texts. Instead, she had met Thorne. Thorne wasn't evil, but he was exactly what the system needed, obedient, confident, and uninterested in asking questions. He had learned the silent code of his father and grandfather. Don't snitch, don't doubt the badge, and always treat the outsider like a threat. When he saw Elena, his instinct was control. He didn't see a citizen. He saw a risk that needed to be neutralized. But Elena had seen this pattern before. She let Thorne walk himself into a trap, not with aggression but with arrogance. Every word he spoke, Every move he made was being live-streamed to a secure federal server. He didn't realize the weight of the backup call he'd just triggered. Now the trap was set. All that was left was for the spider to walk in. Chief Crandall arrived at the diner, his swagger filling the room. "Which one of you thinks you're federal?" he sneered. Elena handed him a document. "I don't think I'm federal." "I am, and this is your copy." It was a subpoena attached to a sealed indictment. "What the hell is this?" Crandall demanded. "The end of your cover," Elena replied. She then listed the charges from a thick confidential file. Unauthorized wiretaps, unreported stops, deleted body camera footage, and payments made to intimidate witnesses. Crandall laughed it off. Elena turned to the final page. "Testimony from your former deputy. Bank records. Text between you and known criminal intermediaries." The room grew silent. Crandall's arrogance began to crack. Elena pulled out the last envelope, a federal arrest warrant. "Arthur Crandall, you are under arrest." He laughed again, a short, cruel sound. "You think I'm going to walk out of here in cuffs because some desk girl brought a file folder? You won't be walking anywhere," Elena said. Just then, 3 U.S. Marshals entered the diner. "This is a federal operation. You are in our custody." Crandall's hands twitched near his belt, but the Marshals were faster. He was face down on the floor in seconds, his ego shattered, his hands zip-tied. Elena turned to Thorne, who stood frozen. "You called for backup, officer," she said. "Congratulations." They came. Later at the station, Thorne sat in a conference room. Elena entered, her resolve unchanged. "We're not here to destroy people, Officer Thorne. We're here to dismantle patterns. That starts with the truth." Thorne scoffed. "You just flipped the town upside down and expect us to admit we were part of it?" "I don't need you to admit anything," Elena said. "I need you to remember everything." She slid a file across the table. It contained incident reports he had signed, body camera logs that had disappeared after his shifts, and civilian complaints that had been dismissed. Thorne denied it all until Elena played an audio clip. His voice, a young boy's plea, then a thud and silence. Thorne's breath hitched. "You didn't mean to hurt him," Elena said quietly. "But you didn't report either. And now he's out there thinking he's the one who did something wrong." The shift was immediate. A mirror had been held up, and he couldn't look away. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. "I want you to talk," she said. "Not to save yourself, but because you were inside the circle. You know how it operated, and someone has to break it." Thorne began to cooperate. His testimony, combined with Elena's evidence, exposed a system built on corruption, intimidation, and silence. Haven was no longer a quiet town. It was a national news story. Elena didn't stay for the interviews. She had a breach in the armor and a witness from within. As she boarded her train, she reflected on her work. Justice wasn't about attention. It was about air. People deserved to breathe without fear. Thorne found her on the platform. No uniform, no badge. Just a man who had finally stopped rehearsing his excuses. "I just want to say I'm sorry." "Don't say it to me," Elena replied. "Say it to the next person who's afraid to walk into a diner alone. Say it with your actions. Say it when no one else is looking." He nodded slowly. "Do you think I can fix any of this?" "No one fixes it alone," she said. "But you can stop it from growing." She took her seat on the train and opened her notebook. She wrote, "Case closed," and then added one more line. "Sometimes the most dangerous threat is the silence we've all learned to live with.